and welcome to Off the Record Live. I'm Jill Vito. Today we are in the amazing Three Sirens in East Nashville, and joining us is the incredible Cassadee Pope.
Hi!
Hello!
Hi,
How are you,
everybody.
Cassadee?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
awesome.
we're so excited to be having you here in Three Sirens, which this is our second show that we've done here in Three Sirens, and I love this space. Isn't
It's
it such
so
a
great.
cool, vibey room?
Yeah,
I feel
I've
like
got to
I'm-
come back and record here. This is amazing.
Yes, I feel like I'm in like the Jonas Brothers universe or some kind of like magical, like cooler than the real
Yes,
world kind
cotton
of vibe.
candy
Yes.
vibes. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Cassadee is here today talking about her new record, Thrive, which is an incredible album that came out this past October. It's a really cool blend of pop punk and country, kind of the two worlds that you've straddled over the course of your career. And if you at home haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely go listen to it after this broadcast, because you should watch the entire broadcast. But to give everybody an overview, we're going to start, as always, with our icebreakers, and then we're going to dive into talking about Thrive. But you at home have the amazing opportunity, provided to us by the wonders of the internet, to send in questions over Twitch. And we will be reading them. Catherine is moderating like always. And if you send one in, we'll probably ask it.
Well, probably.
That's right. But first, let's break the ice.
Yes.
Cassadee, night owl or early bird?
Early bird, all the way.
Call or text?
Text.
Text.
I hate when I'm texting and someone calls me. I'm like, ew! But I'm from the generation where you spend hours on the phone, like talking to people at night. So I don't know where that switched, but yeah, texting.
When you text, do you use emojis?
I rarely do more than one in a text.
Okay.
Like if I do
Reserved.
two, I'm like, well, that's a little aggressive, you know. So I'll delete one.
What emoji are you most likely to use? Like, what's in your top emojis list?
I'm like the blushing, like big eyes, like whoa.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's an expressive one.
Yes, that's the one I feel the most often.
And I see what you mean, too. That's not one that you want to send more than one.
Yeah, no.
As
It's
a
like she's having an
connotation.
anxiety attack.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Remote or in person?
Oh, I think in person. This is hard because last year, as terrible as it was, there were some perks of being remote.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
pajama pants.
Yes.
Party on top, sleep on the bottom.
Sleep.
know?
That's the motto of the 2020s.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, if you had a time machine, would you go to the future or the past?
I would go to the past because I feel like the future would be really like a jolt. I'd be like, whoa, how'd I get here? What's going on? And it would ruin everything, you know, the surprise of it all. And you don't get the journey. The journey is the whole experience. So yeah, I'd go to the past. And I would probably, I would choose neither, honestly, because then I would like choose differently in some of the instances and I wouldn't be here right now. But yeah, the past.
Right on. Right on. Okay, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. How do you take your coffee?
I love cold brew, black.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Maybe like during the holidays, put a little pumpkin spice creamer in there, just a little zest.
Just a little holiday zest. We got a little holiday zest going on with the top
We did not
situation
plan this.
over here.
Ho ho ho.
Okay, if you had to explore either the deep sea or outer space,
Ooh.
which would you do? Both sound too scary for me.
Absolutely too scary. Like neither.
Neither.
Neither. I think I would probably, if I had to choose, I would do deep sea, because why is that? I don't know. It's just like
I
my
feel
gut
that.
instinct is to go
Feels a little more
down instead of
familiar.
up. You know,
Yeah.
up there it's just.
You don't know what's
freaky.
going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen. There's been a lot of problems up there as of late. So I don't know if I'm going to be up there, you know, debris flying everywhere.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Flying or road trips?
Flying. I like flying.
You get there quick.
You get there quick, and I like the perks when you get some frequent flyer miles and you get early boarding and stuff and a free bag.
Oh, yeah.
A little snack up there.
You're right. You do not get early boarding on a road trip.
No.
There's no boarding at all.
No boarding. You're like, now I'm in my car.
Yeah.
Off we go.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, city or countryside?
That's so hard. I feel like that's like two sides of my personality that are very much equal. But if I had to choose, I'd probably go with city because I like the fact that there's always something happening. People are around. I've seen too many like scary movies where you're in the middle of nowhere and weird shit happens. No. So I don't know. If it happens in a city, everybody knows about it. You got
That's
help.
True. You got
around
eyes. You got neighbors complaining about the noise.
Yes, lovely. Just so sweet.
They don't let anything loud happen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Or snacks?
I think I have to go with breakfast. I could have breakfast anytime, anywhere.
Breakfast all day.
All day. I love breakfast for dinner. I love brunch. And there's just a lot of different breakfast items you can choose from, you know?
Do you think that brunch is a later breakfast or a unique meal unto itself?
I always treat it as a later breakfast.
A later breakfast?
I rarely get like an actual lunch item at brunch. I usually get the BR part of brunch.
The BR part.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. You can write a song out of that.
Yeah.
The BR part of brunch.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm going to write that down.
Oh my gosh.
Here at
that's so
American
funny.
Songwriter, that's what
That's
happens.
right. Yeah, we're writing songs.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And that one is clearly a hit.
It's going to be
mean,
huge.
Absolutely massive.
Top 40 probably.
It's what everyone relates to.
Yeah, yes.
Or then you have the sequel song too, the UNCH.
Yeah, the
of
unch.
brunch. The unch of brunch.
Yeah, that's a different crowd.
We've got it is, yeah. We got a whole saga going on here. If you're on a plane, do you like flying?
Yeah.
Window seat, aisle seat?
Depends on the time of day.
Oh, the time of day. Okay, why? Which time of day do you do what?
Yeah, you figure out, okay, so early mornings, window, because I know I'll be asleep. I'll want to lean. Aisle for when it's like afternoon, because I'll have had some hydration throughout the day and I might need to use the facilities. So, yeah, that's how I decide.
Right on. Hey.
It's TMI, but
You have to. That was graceful TMI.
Yeah, and I hate asking people to get up, so that's my thing.
Oh, I feel that. I'd much rather be bothered than bother someone else.
Agreed.
Okay. If you were a baseball player, what would your walk-on song be?
Oh, that's such a good question. I have to go with More Than a Feeling by Boston.
Oh, the classic. That is classic.
Yeah, it's classic. It's always given me like just pumped up vibes. Like it's a song about Marianne, who I still don't know what that means. Like, obviously it's about Marianne, but there's some things about the song that I'm like, hey, what does that actually mean though? But it doesn't matter because it's the melodies mixed with sonically the song and the music is just, it just makes me feel so energized and excited. So
it's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's more than a feeling.
But
Did you all see that?
yeah, jokester.
That's right. All right. What's your favorite drink?
Oh, in general, okay.
In general. I mean, you could go with like an alcoholic beverage, you have like a cocktail you prefer.
Right.
But,
Okay.
I mean,
just a liquid in general. Wine?
Hey, that's a good
I love
answer.
red wine,
Vino?
like Pinot Noir. Or I really love mulled wine too. Like, because we're in the holiday spirit, obviously. Some mulling spices with red wine, warm it up on the stove.
Ooh, yeah. Yes, the holidays are alive.
They're here. They're among us.
Oh my gosh. What was the first music you ever bought?
I think the first album I bought was actually Avril Lavigne, Under My Skin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure, because I was, at that point, God, was I 12, 13? And I think I, like, did enough chores. I believe that's how I got the money. I don't know. Maybe it's, like, from grandma or something. But, yeah, I remember buying that album the day it came out.
epic first album. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had
wow.
albums prior, but that was like
Like the
my own
one
money.
that you bought. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That it was
With my
yes.
own money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Hanson.
Hanson!
was
Boom Ba
Hanson.
Oomba!
Yeah. What did you just say? Boomba?
Yeah. Yeah. Oomba.
Oompa Loompa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was my hometown in West Palm Beach, the amphitheater there, and I remember it might have been Hanson and Christina Aguilera, but
Oh.
Hanson was like my main attraction that night. I was obsessed with
Yes.
Zach the drummer, and I was just in awe the entire time. I was so happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh
It was
my
a good one.
gosh. Wow. Well, that brings us to the close of our icebreakers question. But while we're in the arena of your early formative years of music,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and dive into our discussion.
Okay.
Which I want to talk about Thrive because it is such an amazing record insofar as it really does embrace these two elements of your artistry, this country kind of songwriting, storytelling quality with like the uber good, like amazing pop punk kind of writing and those choruses and the melodies and the arrangement and all of that. And to get that context, I want to go to your early years and just what can you tell us about those two genres and like kind of what the intersection of pop music, punk music, and country music was like to a young childhood Cassadee Pope.
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you for the kind words. It's very sweet. I started singing when I was 4 years old. I started voice lessons, and what I learned to sing on was country music. But when I was like 4 years old, I was singing "Swinging on a Star" and "Unchained Melody" and stuff. And so, by the time I was old enough to kind of like certain artists in particular, I sang a lot of Martina McBride and Trisha Yearwood, and my voice coach at the time she was very intentional with what songs she wanted me to try out because they were very voicey and vocally challenging. And so like Cowboy Sweetheart was a bunch of yodeling by Leanne Rimes, and that's how I learned to yodel when I was like 6. And so that was like the genre I sang for years. And then I'm just going back to why, I think it was my voice coach's influence. My family are a bunch of huge country music fans. Every summer growing up, and I still try to do this, my mom's side are from Pennsylvania, and I'd try and go every summer. But growing up, it was like no matter what. Every summer we'd be up there, a very rural town in Pennsylvania that's just, that was like my southern upbringing because I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida, which is not super southern, it's more on the beachy side. Go up North Florida is a little more southern, which is interesting. But yeah, so like I kind of got that from Pennsylvania. And then it was probably when I started to like go to rock shows in West Palm Beach when I was like 13. I was in high school. I'd hear about these shows. And
this was after Hanson?
This was after Hanson. This was, after my Backstreet Boys fangirling phase and all of that.
Which is an important prerequisite.
Agreed, because the songwriting was just perfection.
But you were going to rock shows.
I started going to rock shows at like 13, and I had a little boyfriend in high school that like knew where to go and stuff. And so I started experiencing that culture, and I loved the camaraderie and you go to the same shows every weekend and no one's talking about how like every set list is the same. It's the same bands, but it's just so fun. And it's just this kind of principle of like you show up and you get to the front and you all just sing together and you see each other at school on Monday and it's like all over again the next weekend. And I just became kind of obsessed with that idea. So a few times I would pop up with friends' bands and sing, and once I got the taste of that, I was like, I want to be in a band. So I ended up just kind of auditioning different players. At this point, I'm like, preteen, trying to audition like grown adults to play with me, and they're like, oh, I can't do this, I need to feed my family and stuff. And so eventually, this is like skipping so many chapters, but like eventually my band Hey Monday formed, and it was a few friends just from other bands locally that ended up wanting to do something different, and we had Columbia Records who signed us and Fall Out Boy taking us on tour, and it was amazing, and it was just really transformative. It really taught me how to sing on the road. It gave me that endurance, that kind of grit that you can only get by touring as like 18 in Singapore and Australia. And I was like, whoa, this is a whole big world out there, and just grew up real fast out there. So, and then kind of getting back to my country roots, it really was the voice that helped me kind of get reacquainted with that. I wrote down all these country songs I used to sing as a kid on my list of covers I wanted to do, and I started with some Avril Lavigne, some Michelle Branch, and then eventually I went to Miranda Lambert and Rascal Flatts and Faith Hill. And when the show was over, I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm doing country back what I used to do when I was a kid, but I'm incorporating this like pop rock influence that I now have, and there's actually a space for it in Nashville now. So fast forward to 2013 when I came here and started doing country music. That's kind of how it all became infused into each other.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you mentioned that you skipped over a few chapters.
I did.
And I'll say for the viewers at home, if you get the chance, I mean, look up her story. I mean, every part of your career has been so cool, and from the Hey Monday stuff to through it all, it's always been very impressive. And so I recommend looking that up. But before we move on from these early days, I want to ask one question because I just love her, and I know that you've talked about her before, and so I want to talk about her. But it's Shania Twain.
Oh, yes.
What? Because specifically, I'm so curious because Shania obviously broke down so many barriers and kind of innovated in that what can country be and bringing in all those pop elements. I mean, those records are amazing. What was your when did you get into her? What kind of influence did she have on you?
Oh, she was a huge influence. I mean, I think I was like 10 when, well, maybe I was, no, Come On Over came out like when I was 2. So it took me a few years to
and you were a hardcore fan.
I know. I was like, but it took me a few years to catch on, obviously. But once I did, I was hooked. And it was just the way, and I was like a kid at this point listening to these songs and feeling so seen. And I hadn't gone through many of the life experiences she was singing about. But for some reason, as a little girl, I was like, this woman is singing for me, to me. And then the older I got, the more I realized what an art it was, that she was appealing to so many women, but also the men understood what she was singing about, and it was like digestible enough for them to be like, yeah, I could see that, I can understand that. Because some of the stuff she was saying was like, stop being so jealous, don't be stupid, stuff that like some men can get a little bit sensitive about if a woman says that in a song, and everybody, all these dudes were just showing up at her shows like, yeah, don't be stupid. So it's just, she had this way of speaking to everybody, and it's just always like resonated with me.
Oh yeah, and that's such a cool point too, because it kind of illustrates how powerful music can be.
Yeah.
On that, it can really unite. And even if a guy isn't like sitting down and being like, well, I guess sometimes I can be stupid and I should not. Like even if he doesn't do that, he can still go to the show and like the music.
Yeah.
And that has an effect, and it still like gets across, even like all the subconscious play that's happening there.
Agreed. Yeah, she slips these kind of thought-provoking lyrics in very discreetly, and they're veiled in like really fun poppy melodies that distract you from like the deeper meaning. So yeah, it's a good point.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, now we're gonna like mega fast forward to the beginning of the pandemic, because I want to talk about Thrive. Finally, this is it. We've been building up to it, but now we're really diving in.
Cool.
When did this record kind of start? I know that from watching other interviews you've done, you had a batch of songs that you kind of had worked up in 2019 that you were going to record, and then the pandemic hit. What was that like? Set the scene for us.
Ooh.
When everything started hitting, how much of this project was done? How did it change?
I probably had about 10 songs that I really dug, but there were like 4 that I was like, I should go in and record these. I don't know if I would release them right away, but I feel like I should record these because these feel pretty strong. And then when the pandemic hit and it was like no one was going and doing anything, it really kind of forced me to, I had an opportunity to take my time, and it was weird. It was like all of a sudden, without the urgency of time and meeting deadlines, or not even that, my own deadlines, but like racing everybody else, everybody stopped. And I was like, oh, do I want to do these songs? And I have an awesome team who are super honest with me, who are like, look, these are good, but they do sound pretty like in the same vein as a lot of other artists that are doing this like pop country sound. you just did this reunion show with Hey Monday where we saw this whole other side of you that's like, looks like, you know, she's in a cage waiting to burst out, and we think that like that might be worth exploring. And so this was the opportunity for me to sit with that and really think about what that would look like. And I just sort of, I landed on, okay, I'm going to go into some Zoom writing sessions, which I'd never done before and I was terrified of. I'm going to go into those sessions. I'm going to write with people that get the pop punk sound, who also are down to do like country lyrics and storytelling at the same time. So I ended up writing with people I toured with in the past who were in bands I toured with, people that I didn't tour with that were in bands, and then like country writers who were like excited to do something different and interesting, who just so happened to be fans of, like, they were fans of Dashboard and Fall Out Boy or whatever. And I went into the sessions, I'd never done this before, where I went into the session with a genre, not even a genre, because I'm calling it y'alternative. That seems fitting.
Y'alternative?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the fans actually named it, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna run with that. But before that y'alternative was a thing, I was like, I went into it with the idea sonically of what I wanted. And I'd never done that before. It was always like, write songs, and then once something jumps out at you, that'll be the staple song, and then you go from there, and then you build a project. This time it was like, this is going to be the project. I'm merging both things I love, pop punk and country. I'm going to use two producers that represent both parts of that, which was Nick Wheeler from All American Rejects, who's my producer, you know, on the rock side of my upbringing, and then Karen Fairchild, the co-producer, who's from Little Big Town, who represents the country part of my roots and just like the last 9 years in this town. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And the Zoom writing sessions were way more productive and successful than I could have imagined. So I'm very grateful for that. And then like having all these raw feelings during the pandemic, just having time to reflect, time to really sit with. Actually, in January, I did a sleepaway therapy retreat at a place here called Onsite, and it was the one thing that they said that was like not a great coping mechanism was isolation. And then this happened, and I was like, well, I feel like I can isolate now, and it's okay. Is that all right? But just having this crazy mental health journey, and I didn't go for any reason. I just really wanted to. I'm all about like continuing to grow and just self-discovery and continuing on that road, and just doing that in January, and then the pandemic hitting somewhere around March was like so bizarre, and it really set me up in this place of like prime songwriting, I don't know, space. Like it was so bizarre how it all kind of led up to that moment. So that's why all the songs are so personal and so revealing, is I just was coming from a place of complete rawness.
Yeah. Well, hearing you say all of that, and then from my position of being able to listen to the record, it comes across so effective. I mean, it seems like that blend of those styles and that embracing of who you are as an artist, your uniqueness as an artist, was, I mean, it sounds incredible. And so to be able to write that and to be able to see those results and be able to put together this record, once you really dove into that process, did you have like a sense of validation, or like a sense of like, oh, this does make sense? Like, did that help you? Was it therapeutic to work on it itself?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the whole way as artists, we kind of have this built-in fear voice that just constantly says like why things won't work, who they won't appeal to, and I just intentionally was like shushing that voice the whole entire time, because I knew if I didn't, I would end up with the same batch of songs I had back before when I was going to record them in the beginning of the year. So I wanted to continue on the road of like, I don't know where this is going to land. It's a pop punk country record. I don't think that's happened. I mean, as far as I know. So where does that land? Playlisting, radio, like, I don't know. But I had to just not listen to that kind of question, because if you listen to that, you're gonna be like, actually, I'm gonna go further this direction so it fits in whatever genres are friendly to what I'm doing, because then you can really succeed when you just are this one thing, because then people can wrap their head around it. But I've done that, and I've seen some success, but not as much as I personally, honestly, would have liked to have seen. So I'm like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to do this weird thing and see where it lands. And I'm still in the process of seeing where it's going to land, but it feels awesome. I've never had this like sense of peace releasing a record. I usually have a lot of anxiety. I mean, okay, I had a little bit, but I didn't have as much as usual.
A healthy amount?
A healthy amount, because it's your baby, you know?
Yeah.
But usually it's like just crippling. And this time it was just, I felt like I made the right decision, and I just went with my gut, you know?
Wow. Well, I'm sure that must have been a very powerful feeling to have that place.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Well, and you mentioned too that a country pop punk record never existed before, but it does now.
It does now.
It does now.
The alternative.
Wow.
Let's go.
And folks, you know, this is a live program, and it's dawning upon me that I forgot to open up the Twitch stream on my computer, and so I can't see the chat.
Oh.
But Catherine, do we have any audience questions coming in that we'd like to ask right now?
Any
We
brain
do.
busters?
We have a few
Yay.
audience questions. So, Music Fiend 124 wants to know, when are you the most creative?
Oh, that's a good question. Music themed 124. I think I'm most creative when I've had a couple glasses of wine and I'm home alone. I just will pick up that guitar and write some like life story songs. Like, I have so many songs that are just about my journey that I can wake up the next morning and I'm like, I feel like this is kind of self-indulgent and just not that good, to be honest. But there's something about, even if it's not good and it's never going to see the light of day, there's something like important about just getting it out. Because,
Yeah, totally.
Right? Because it's just taking up space in your brain and in your heart and in your body. And if it's like meant to be said, even though nobody else will hear it, it's important. So yeah, just getting a little liquid courage and just writing stuff that will never come out.
Yeah, and would you say that you're the kind of writer too, where sometimes, like, will you ever find yourself writing something, even if it's not a song you end up pursuing, but you get it out and you go, oh, I guess that is what I was thinking, or like it gives you the vocabulary to think about it in a way that maybe you didn't before?
Oh yeah, I definitely am better at describing what I'm feeling in a song more than just speaking. And I've had a lot of therapy, so I do a good job of speaking on how I feel, but I do it better in songs for sure.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
why.
awesome.
Yeah.
Catherine, we have more questions from chat?
We do.
Oh,
We
I
have
love
some more
this.
questions. We also have a fan who wants you to start like another Twitch channel and just keep going. But I think this is a good fit.
Marathon.
Right. Yeah.
Let's go.
So another question for you is, so Perky13 wants to know, where did you get your outfit?
This is from ASOS. I was just talking about ASOS earlier. This is a good, like, put on some Thanksgiving pounds, but still want to look cute today dress. It's loose. And these boots are actually from my What the Stars See music video. I was able to keep them. I don't know where they're from, though. I should have looked at that.
They
but
are epic. I don't know if you can
Thank
see
you.
at home, but they got like little like spiky...
Little studs.
Yeah, studs. That's the word.
Studs. Yeah. And there's zipper on the inside that make
Oh,
it
yeah.
easier on and off.
That's
Thanks.
a style.
Appreciate it.
Shout out.
Oh, and the earrings are TNT Goods. They are an awesome small business here in town. They're really great. So like Christmas gifts, TNT Goods. They have an
TNT
online
Goods.
store. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. And
They're great.
support small business. It's important too.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
important.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we are going to be going to an ad break soon. But before we do, I'll slip in one more question because I just
Okay.
have so many for you.
Oh.
Nick Wheeler produced this record along with Fairchild. When did you meet Nick? How did you guys kind of come together to start working together?
We actually met on tour in 2008. Hey Monday, we're opening for Fall Out Boy on our New Zealand, Australia run, and All American Rejects were the direct support for those dates. So I met him briefly on that. It's all a blur because I was a kid and I was just like so in awe of what I was doing. Fast forward to 2019 for the Hey Monday reunion show. A mutual friend at the management company I'm with knows Nick, and he was like, well, if you're doing like a pop punk night, maybe you could have Nick Wheeler from All American Rejects pop up and you could sing some All American Rejects songs. I was like, that's cool, and yeah, let's do it. And loved him. He was so sweet. Loved his vibe. He was great. And then during the pandemic,
If you don't mind me asking,
Yes.
what songs did you sing with him?
Oh, we did Swing Swing and Dirty Little Secret. Yeah, good ones.
Yeah,
good ones.
classic.
You know, had to. And and then so my publisher was like, Nick is in town and he's doing sessions. You want to write with him? And so I did on Zoom. The first song we wrote was Mind Your Own, which was on the record. And I was getting his demos back and they sounded so good. And I was like, this guy is amazing at producing. I had no idea. And then I asked him if he would produce, and here we are.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Love
Wow.
him. He's great.
Well, it definitely works with the style too. And it is amazing how it is, well, yeah, it works with the style.
Yeah, and he's like, he gets my references, like I've done records here in town in Nashville with people that know what I'm saying, but there's this Nashville sprinkle at the end of the day that a lot of producers use, and it comes out and it sounds great, but there's like this lack of like individuality sometimes. And with Nick, it's just he doesn't have that. Like he's not a Nashville producer who's been doing it for many years. He's here like sort of as like a fresh producer who's from the rock world, and so he really got where I wanted to go. And Karen, with her influence and her awesome like left of center kind of references, just all of it together created this really cool, unique sound that I'm so proud of.
Yeah, it really is so cool, and that's like why I'm almost like struggling to describe it, is because after the broadcast, you gotta go listen to it, because it really is like, you could imagine when you're combining two genres, it could sound like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and there's like elements, but this really is like, it's a synthesis where it becomes like a new thing, and that's why the production, it's so effective in that regard, and that it supports that. Wow.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Folks, we're going to go to an ad break, but when we come back, we're going to be hearing some of the songs live here from Cassadee. And we'll be asking more of your questions, more of my questions, and just talking more about great music. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Off the Record Live. We're here with Cassadee Pope, and we're hanging out in 3 Sirens in East Nashville, which I know we talked about it at the top of the show, but this is really an awesome place to hang out. It's got a great vibe. There's cool art everywhere. There's like a little kitchen in the back. It's like an artist collective.
Yeah.
They bring in folks, and it's like it has studios, but it also just has all these creative spaces. All that to say, it's the perfect setting for what you're about to hear, which is some great music happening live in the moment on the internet, being broadcasted.
Whoa.
Over Twitch.
That part.
With Cassadee Pope! What song are you going to play for us now?
I'm going to start with Thrive, the album track, the title track. This one was something that I brought the idea in for. I was writing with my friends Andy Albert and Kevin Bard, who we're in bands and I've known for a very long time. And I had the idea of I didn't just survive, now I thrive. Had specific instance in my brain of somebody who's wronged me in the past, and it's like the human kind of way of thinking is you're not really forgiving them because you're still annoyed at what they did to you, but you at least can see that what they did to you did make you stronger. So here it is.
Yeah.
Thrive. You were a bullet that I dodged, a sickness that I never caught, a building burning down, and I can see that now. Your way with words was pretty till eventually their ugly letters came on out, and I can hear it now. While you were killing me, I got stronger. If I'd have stayed 1 second longer, I never would have seen this side, never hit this stride if I stayed tied down to you. Guess I should probably thank you, maybe raise a drink to everything I gained when I cut you loose. No, I didn't just survive, boy, without you now I thrive. I thrive, thrive.
every little lie and every tear you made me cry. I swear I should have drowned, instead I swam on out. Every time you tore me down brick by brick, made it easier to crash through that ceiling. And honestly, I'm hitting me an all-time high. Guess you got one thing right, 'cause I never would have seen this side, never hit this stride if I stayed tied down to you. 'Cause I should probably thank you, maybe raise a drink to everything I gained when I cut you loose. No, I didn't just survive, boy, without you now I thrive. I thrive, didn't just survive. I didn't just survive, but without you now I thrive. I more than made it out alive. I didn't just survive, but without you now I thrive. I more than made it out alive. I never would have seen this side, never hit this stride if I stayed tied down to you. 'Cause I should probably thank you, maybe raise a drink to everything I gained when I cut you loose. No, I didn't just survive, boy, without you now I thrive. I thrive, didn't just survive. I didn't just survive, but without you now I thrive. I more than made it out alive.
Incredible! Oh my gosh! Wow!
Appreciate it.
I got goosebumps, folks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. What is the next song you're gonna play for us?
The next song I'm going to do is Remedy, which is also off of Thrive. I had, like many people I'm sure, some weird days during the pandemic of just being a little bit crazy, a little bit off my rocker, and you know, with being an artist on the tour, on the road, usually on tour, the jolt of like not having that anymore was just a little too much to bear some days. But my boyfriend Sam was just always there and very sweet and empathetic for what I was going through. And so I just kind of thought of him as my remedy, and that was an idea I brought into a session with my friends Casey Brown and Parker Welling. And I was inspired by Dashboard Confessional doing this song, which was really happy. Side note, I had Chris Carrabba come up and sing Vindicated with me at my album release show just a few weeks ago. So that was awesome.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway,
amazing.
this song is called Remedy. I can overthink and feel unworthy of someone loving me and thinking they'll run away. I sabotage the things I want, but now I'm usually gone. But I'm thinking that I might stay right when I feel like I'm putting my walls back up. You smile, now forget what the hell I was so scared of. When I'm my own worst enemy, you help me make peace with me from my self-destructive tendencies. You're my remedy. You're like medicine for a gun-shy heart when I make it hard. Baby, you make it easy to see myself in my reflection, to accept all my sharp edges, to watch my steps so I don't hurt myself. Right when I feel like I'm putting my walls back up, you smile. Now forget what the hell I was so scared of. When I'm my own worst enemy, you help me make peace with me from my self-destructive one shy heart. Right when I feel like I'm putting my walls back up, you smile and I forget what the hell I was so scared of. When I'm my own worst enemy, you help me make peace with me from my self-destructive tendencies. You're my remedy. You're my remedy. When I'm my own worst enemy, you help me make peace with me. Oh, you're my remedy.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to Off the Record Live here on Twitch, which is also hosted by our main creator of this show, American Songwriter. Now, before we even dive back into talking with the wonderful Cassadee Pope, who just played 2 amazing songs for us, I want to tell you guys about the American Songwriter Lyric Contest, because the deadline is tomorrow at midnight. Now, folks, if you're a songwriter, if you're out there writing tunes, if you think they're really good, which you should if you like them, you should write songs you like, and you can do that. This is an amazing opportunity. You could win all sorts of things like $10,000, a co-publishing deal, and a feature in the American Songwriter magazine. In the past, a lot of our winners have been really tremendous writers and have really gotten incredible opportunities, and getting to hear the songs is amazing too. The songs that come out of this contest is incredible. And so this year we also have judges like Paul Stanley of Kiss, who just made a turkey on Thanksgiving. I saw he tweeted it. He's got a great Twitter. If you don't follow Paul Stanley of
Going
Kiss,
to.
he posts selfies all the time. He really figured out how to take good selfies of himself.
Is he low or high selfie?
He's a high selfie all the
He
way.
knows.
Sometimes it looks like it's almost vertical, the
Oh.
selfie. But his hair looks incredible.
Always.
We also have Vance Joy, which is also really cool. Riptide. That's like that song's bigger than songs.
Yeah, it's the song.
That song is like zeitgeist level. But we're gonna be putting the link to enter in the chat. It's a really amazing opportunity. It's kind of part of the bread and butter of what makes the American Songwriter community the amazing community of musicians and music fans that it is. And so, folks, if you're out there, if you're even a little bit interested, at least look at the link. It's an incredible opportunity.
So cool.
It is. And so are you, Cassadee Pope, with your record Thrive. Now, you had a lot of fans who were really enjoying that performances. I was looking at it. We had Kavagan, who was sending all sorts of really cool stickers. I don't even know how you can make them, but they look cool.
It's like moving.
It's moving around.
Oh.
Yeah. And you've gotten people, Squid Dog 1 says great voice. And all of these great things. And I believe Catherine's even got a question for you.
Catherine.
I do. And just to reiterate really quick, it is the song contest. We do
The
have
song?
a lyric contest, which is a little confusing, but it's the song contest.
It confused me, folks. I'm so sorry.
The whole song, not just the
song
lyrics.
contest. It is the whole song.
It is the whole song. But we do have another question from Squid Dog 1, who wants to know, are there any tour dates coming out soon, and will you be going to Phoenix?
Ooh. There are tour dates. I am finalizing the routing. But yeah, there are tour dates for next year, early next year. So I can't say yes or no to Phoenix yet. I don't want to say yes or no yet.
Keep your eyes
Yes.
peeled.
Yeah. Definitely stay tuned to my socials soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So we talked about Nick Wheeler, who helped produce this record. I want to talk about Karen Fairchild, who also helped produce this record from the opposite end. How did you first meet her, and how did you guys come together to start working?
Really, I met her through just different events when I first came to town. She's always been so kind and welcoming, and she would like come up to me and introduce herself when I first came to town, and it was always just so crazy to me because I'm a huge Little Big Town fan, and especially just of her voice. I've always loved her voice because it's just husky and beautiful and cool and unique. And then through the years, I started to kind of lean on her as a mentor. There have been a few points in my career where I really could use some advice and some help navigating, and she was always down to meet for lunch or coffee to kind of talk me through things. I played a few shows with Little Big Town too, not on like an official tour with them, but a few shows here and there, so got to see her on the road. And then when it came time to make this record, I knew I wanted Nick to be a part of it and to kind of steer the ship, but then kind of thinking about all the work I've put into country music and the many radio tours and the many, it's almost 10 years of being in this town, and just loving country music and feeling like that is very much a part of who I am and my songwriting sensibilities. I wanted somebody involved to kind of balance out the dynamic, to kind of focus on my country influence, and I was like, who better than Karen Fairchild to come in and co-produce? And she kind of took on a little bit of a vocal producing role as well. She sang harmonies on a bunch of things that she wasn't featured on. She was, of course, featured on What the Stars See. But just having her kind of keep my foot planted in country, because I didn't want to go too much either way, because that's just, I'm in between, like that's who I am. So and she was so fun to work with. She's like a hype girl, she's just super she was there every step of the way and down to just hang, and had great references. She was throwing out references like Coldplay and Black Keys, and there are elements of those in every song, and things that I would never think to reference, so it just was a great dynamic between the three of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure it must have been a really cool dynamic too, considering that all three of you do have like different backgrounds, and I'm sure like even for you to be bringing those styles together, and then for Nick to be kind of stepping into the country world, and for Karen to be stepping into like the pop punk world, that must have been cool too, to kind of bring everyone along on that journey.
Yeah, it was interesting because they both know me from different parts of my story. Nick knows me from when I was 18 and kind of figuring out myself and starting to tour the world as a kid, basically. And then Karen's known me the last 9 years I've been in this town or so, and so she's seen me more recently than Nick has, and like getting the three of us together, they both have different stories to tell, and Karen was like super fascinated by the stories that Nick and I had from when we toured together, and Nick was super fascinated by the things that Karen and I have gone through together. So it's just it was cool to like get in a room and just share and talk about how this journey has affected us, the three of us in general. And like, we were making this record during the craziest year for all of us, so that was like a huge silver lining, was getting to get in a room together and create and have this be something that's somewhat of that was a positive thing in such a negative time, so we really like confided in each other a lot too.
Oh yeah, that sounds so powerful, and again, another illustration of what music can do in times like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so this next question I have for you is kind of like a random question, but I remember reading or hearing you say something in an interview about it, and I want to ask because something that's so cool about this album is that it really works as an album. I mean, between like the intro kind of welcome song and then just like the track listing even. I know you mentioned that the track listing was something important to you, putting it all together. What can you tell us about approaching the record on that angle and being like, I really do want this to feel like a cohesive like record?
Yeah, I mean, I care so much that we had to take it down and like switch around the track listing. It was already submitted into everything, and I was like, no guys, there's this one song that needs to go up a couple of songs because the flow is just not right. Everybody's like, really? Okay. I was like, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think of it as like a live show. My dream, which I got to fulfill a couple weeks ago, was to release an album and be able to play it top to bottom and it feel like a great flowing live set. And that's always been my favorite albums. I mean, a great example of an album that I feel flows so perfectly is In Love and Death by The Used. It's so good, and it's just like a slow song comes when you want it to come, and then it lifts you back up when you know you want that little boost of energy. And I'm just so influenced by artists that care about the sequencing. And I know, you know, everybody has a tendency to shuffle or skip through. And I think these songs live great on their own too. I'm proud of that as well. But my preference is everybody experiences it as a body of work and listens to the stories and kind of lets it take them on a journey.
Yeah, well, that element is so palpable, that care. I mean, you can tell when you listen to the record that it was something that you really poured your heart and soul into, and even little things like that track listing, it really comes across in that way, which is so
Thank you.
cool. The transition from Say It First into Break 2 with the Say It First line in that song, it's so cool. It's so awesome.
I was
Yeah.
really happy some fans picked that up because
Yeah.
I was like, it was intentional, but it wasn't like I didn't write Break 2 to come after Say It First. It just kind of happened. And so when it came time to do the track listing, I was like, oh, that has to be
That was awesome.
where it happens.
Light bulb moment.
Yeah. So it worked out.
Oh my God. All right, well, we are just about at time. I got one last question for you, which is, the record's been out.
Mm-hmm.
You got tour up in the air, but keep your eyes peeled, folks.
Yes, it's coming.
How do you feel? What's the future look like for you?
I feel really, really good. I had, you know, to be honest, I've had kind of a weird month health-wise. I had a kidney stone surgery about a week ago, and it was like a full-on month of not even knowing what was happening and just being in pain. And so to be completely honest, you know, I really enjoyed releasing the album, and it was really fun. And then I had this weird health month, and now I feel like I finally can like sit back and enjoy, you know, the amazingness that's coming from releasing this album and really dive into connecting with my fans. And I'm on Cameo for a bit, so connecting with everybody through there, and just in general, like really sitting back and seeing the hard work I put in and seeing everybody connecting to it. It's been a crazy year, but the conclusion is I've got something out that I really believe in, and people are feeling connected to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so beautiful. What a journey, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so fun.
Wow. Well, Cassadee, thank you so much for stopping by
Thank
and
you.
speaking with us today. Folks, Thrive is out now. You can get it wherever you listen to music. I want to thank Three Sirens in East Nashville for hosting us in the brick and mortar. I want to thank American Songwriter in Twitch for hosting us online. The American Songwriter Song Contest closes tomorrow at midnight. Be sure to look that up. That's all I got. I'm Joe Vito. Thanks for tuning in.